Glad to have you with us on this edition of NHK Newsline. I'm Raja Pradhan with the news from Tokyo. Lawmakers in South Korea have voted to impeach Prime Minister Han Duck-soo, but the ruling party is protesting the decision, saying it did not receive enough votes in favor. The Speaker of the National Assembly said 192 lawmakers voted in favor of impeachment. This comes just weeks after President Yoon Suk-yeol was impeached for his short-lived martial law declaration earlier in the month. But the ruling party says Friday's motion needed the support of more than 200 lawmakers, or two-thirds of the assembly. This is the threshold required for the impeachment of a president, which it says also applies to Han, who's filling the role on a temporary basis. The ruling party has filed a suit on this point to the Constitutional Court. Han's impeachment motion was filed on Thursday after he refused to appoint new justices to the Constitutional Court. The main opposition Democratic Party called him an accomplice of the president. Han released a statement following Friday's impeachment vote. He said he respects the Assembly's decision and will await a ruling from the court. Meanwhile, the Constitutional Court also held a preparatory hearing on President Yoon's impeachment on Friday. This is the first step to decide whether he'll be permanently removed from office. At the hearing, the impeachment side said Yoon's actions surrounding the martial law declaration had violated the Constitution. This included sending troops to the parliament. Yoon's legal team argued the impeachment itself is not legal. One of his lawyers said the president would eventually appear in court.
President Yoon will appear in court to speak directly to the justices at an appropriate time.
The lawyer also expressed concerns about testimonies by some military officers who say they received direct orders from Yoon during the martial law declaration. He said these remarks need to be verified. The next hearing is scheduled for January 3rd. The man who led Suzuki Motor for more than 40 years as president and chairman has died. Suzuki Osamu was 94. Suzuki joined the automaker in 1958 as the son-in-law of the company's second president. He was appointed president in 1978. The following year, he scored a major hit with the Alto mini vehicle. Suzuki slashed costs and launched the first-generation model for under $500,000, nearly 30% cheaper than rival cars. Suzuki was a regular presence on the factory floor, always looking for ways to make savings. His philosophy was exemplified in his motto, "Gravity and light are free." This led to innovative practices like using sunlight instead of fluorescent lights to save on electricity, and designing the production line to take advantage of gravity by moving parts from higher to lower positions, minimizing energy consumption. And India played a crucial part in Suzuki's management history. Suzuki Motor began making cars there in 1983, eventually earning the top share in the country's market.
Being an Indian, I'm very much in grief because he has shown us the way for India in the market of automobile.
After hearing this news that Osamu Suzuki just passed away, I really feel sad because in our country, everybody, I guess everyone owns the Suzuki Motors.
Suzuki flexed his management skills after becoming chairman in 2000. The automaker's annual sales jumped by around tenfold compared with when he served as president to over 3 trillion yen, about $19 billion. Suzuki died of malignant lymphoma on Wednesday. Japan's government has approved the country's largest ever draft budget for fiscal 2025. It totals 115.5 trillion yen, about $732 billion, and includes large outlays for Social Security. Prime Minister Ishiba Shigeru's cabinet approved the bill on Friday. It's the third consecutive year the draft budget has exceeded 110 trillion yen. It includes expenditures for Social Security and defense that are higher than the initial budget for this fiscal year. About $242 billion has been earmarked for Social Security costs. The country is expecting growing medical and pension expenses as society ages. About $55 billion goes to drastically strengthening Japan's defense capabilities. The draft budget estimates tax revenue of about $497 billion. The figure is the largest ever and has been boosted by strong corporate performance. But the figure still comes up short. The government plans to issue about $181 billion worth of bonds to cover the revenue shortfall. Japan's fiscal condition is expected to remain tough with a heavy reliance on government bonds. Officials plan to submit the draft budget to the regular session of the Diet, scheduled to open next month. Japan's defense ministry has released an interim report on its probe of a massive slush fund created by Kawasaki Heavy Industries. The defense contractor repairs submarines of Japan's maritime self-defense force. The report says it conducted fictitious transactions with subcontractors to create the fund worth $10.8 million over a 6-year period through fiscal 2023. The report says Kawasaki Heavy used the fund to purchase items for submarine crews and possibly wine and dine them. It says there were also cases in which the money was used for personal purposes within the company. The bogus deals between Kawasaki Heavy and trading companies took place for at least 40 years.
We are deeply sorry and sincerely apologize.
The wrongdoing occurred at a repair unit at Kawasaki Heavy's Kobe Works. MSDF submarines are serviced here. The repair work takes between several months to around 10 months. During that period, many crew members stay at a Kawasaki Heavy facility near the Kobe Works. They carry out repairs together with Kawasaki Heavy employees and others. An employee at the Kobe Works spoke to NHK.
I think all employees are accepting this as part of their work.
The report says the company engaged in the sham transactions because repair work requires the cooperation of the submarine crew. It suggests the company's willingness to accommodate the requests of the crew as far as possible was a major motive for the misconduct. The Defense Ministry has issued a severe reprimand to Kawasaki Heavy. It'll also consider punishment for crew members involved in the scheme. There's more to come on NHK Newsline, so please stay tuned. And before we wrap up, Japan is getting ready for the new year, and that includes the country's Shinto shrines. Crowds of people are expected to go to the sites at the start of 2025. And one shrine in the southwest is training young women as miko attendants to welcome the visitors. O-Asahiko Jinja is located in Naruto City, Tokushima Prefecture. It offers the training program annually around this time of year, mainly for high school and university students. More than 30 people joined a session on Thursday. They wore traditional hakama clothing and rehearsed Shinto practices. That includes the prayer custom of bowing twice, clapping the hands twice, then bowing again. The trainees were also taught the proper etiquette for handing out amulets and other items to visitors.
This is the first time for me to be a miko, and it's not easy, but I will try to help people have a pleasant visit.
The shrine is expected to get about 150,000 visitors during the first 3 days of the new year. And that concludes this edition of NHK Newsline. I'm Raja Pradhan in Tokyo. Thanks for joining us.
Japan has various kinds of landmarks that fascinate visitors. They range from cultural and historic locations to modern buildings created with cutting-edge technologies. The backstory of Japanese landmarks brings you the stories behind these amazing places. In this episode of the backstory of Japanese landmarks, we feature Mount Takao. Mount Takao has long been a popular hiking destination as it's perfect for day trips. In recent years, many tourists from overseas have climbed its slopes as well. One reason for its popularity is its easy access from central Tokyo, less than an hour's train ride away. But Mount Takao has much more to offer. At the foot of Mount Takao, people are dressed in various styles. Some are wearing trekking shoes and backpacks, ready to go hiking. Others are dressed in a more casual style, better suited for cities. The reason? Mount Takao has 7 hiking trails. One is a full ascent to the summit. Another course includes a cable car and a lift ride and winds around the halfway point up the mountain. Visitors can choose from several options depending on the season, the size of the group, who's climbing, and what they're in the mood for. The cable car and lift route is not only fast, it's also exciting. At one point, the cable car's ascent is at an angle of just over 31 degrees, the steepest in Japan. Riders ooh and ah as the cable car climbs the steepest part. Meanwhile, the 2-seater chairlift leaves riders' legs dangling in the air, which means it can be a bit of a thrill for some. But with the feel of the breeze, it makes for a great ride, and many kids ride with their parents. Just be aware that the cable car and the chairlift may not be running when there's bad weather, and visitors should check ahead. The hiking courses offer various sights each season. Come spring, there are canopies of cherry blossoms in full bloom, while violets cover the ground. In the summer, visitors can splash around in rivers or explore what's upstream. Gorgeous foliage of reds, yellows, and oranges welcome visitors in the fall. On New Year's Day, many people flock to Mount Takao to enjoy the first sunrise of the year. Mount Takao has long been associated with the strict practice of mountain asceticism called shugendo. A traditional form of aesthetic training called suigyo involves standing under a waterfall to cleanse oneself. Mount Takao has 2 waterfalls, Jataki and Biwataki, where this is practiced. During the winter months, visitors can watch people training in the ice-cold water. For those willing to give it a shot, Yakuoin Temple offers a suigyo tryout experience at its dojo. For hikers, Mount Takao offers gorgeous views. From an observation deck midway up the mountain, they can see Tokyo and its vicinity, including the iconic Tokyo Tower and Yokohama Landmark Tower. It's a spectacular view of the metropolis while being surrounded by the great outdoors. When weather conditions are good, the summit of Mount Takao offers a view of Mount Fuji. In fact, the top of Mount Takao has been selected as one of the 100 best places in the Kanto region to view Japan's most famous peak. Thank you for tuning in to the backstory of Japanese landmarks. We hope you have a chance to visit these landmarks and see for yourself what makes them so special.